more you listen, the more you know. This is Good Politics with Dr. Wilson and Adam Whiteman.
Welcome back. Had to pay some bills. See a quick wardrobe change. We're wearing entirely different clothes. We wanted to put an end to kind of what we touched on in the last segment.
Right. We talked about, we explained what bribery was, and then we applied it to Trump. What we're going to do now is do something a little different. There's this trend in American politics that I want to talk about. I want to close with this trend. It used to be in American politics that what we would do is we would attack the ethics and the character of our political rivals. Now, that's gone on throughout history. And, we do it for salacious things. Like, for example, Gary Hart was caught having an affair. Clinton was somebody who they always tried to say, they called him Slick Willie and so forth. They tried to attack his character. One of the things that's starting to happen that's very troubling in American politics is we're now starting to do something where we try to prosecute our political rivals. And even if we're not affirmatively prosecuting them, we're one step away from it. And the reason why we're one step away from it is that what we're starting to do is accuse them of committing crimes. And to hear this, let's play clip number 27.
What was Joe Biden's intent when he was essentially extorting or bribing Ukraine to drop an investigation or to get rid of a prosecutor who was investigating his son? Yeah. The president had every right to ask Ukraine to look into it. If the president is aware of potential evidence in the hands of a foreign government that a U.S. official, Joe Biden, misused his office to confer a benefit on that nation in exchange for something of value, protecting his son, that's a corrupt act if proven. It is, not just extortion and bribery, statutory crimes and honest services fraud. It's a violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. So this president is not abusing his power. There's a treaty that we have with Ukraine that requires them to provide this information.
Okay, so one of the things you should note there is how what these people are doing is they're accusing their political enemies of committing crime. Trump committed bribery. Trump is corrupt. Biden is corrupt. Biden committed bribery. Biden committed extortion. And you notice that every time everyone does this, they pull out these dumb little statutory words, a thing of value to a public official, as if these things are read like that. The truth is the Supreme Court construes these elements narrowly, and in order to violate a crime, you have to have a professional judgment. It's not something that's done on television where somebody can read out a sentence and says, I think that's a thing of value. These are legal questions. They're construed narrowly. They're done by professionals, and there are defenses that apply to them. And, one of the interesting things I see in all this imagine if Biden wins the presidency and Republicans get the House. You could do the same thing now. You could start saying, well, I think we need to do an impeachment investigation into this. I think we need to, this was corruption, blah, 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 blah. So I think that this is getting ridiculous. The one thing that I think people are missing in a lot of these bribery conversations is they're missing when public officials exchange public acts to one another. For example, I'll vote your way if you vote my way. There's a power I have to delay aid, and there's a power you have to publicly audit a file. Auditing a file is not like, suppose I say to you this. Suppose I say to you, here, I'll give you $1 million if you audit this file. That's bribery. But it's not bribery to say, look, we won't fund you unless you audit the file. That's a government doing a public act, exchanging an official public act for an official public act, as opposed to paying money for a public act. So I think that those fact patterns and distinctions aren't really well understood.
So you're saying, what if Biden gets into office and, would the Republicans do the same thing to him?
In terms of who did this, the Republicans, first of all, did this to Hillary. Hillary was running, and she had this interesting thing she was doing with her server, and they were trying to say that all kinds of crimes that she violated. Listen to play clip number 29.
Mr. Mayor, were laws broken? Let's start with Hillary. Did she?
Yes. I've been on, look, we go back 3 years with this, Sean, when I produced my chart.
I remember
13 crimes she committed, and we got up to about 18. I'm sorry, Hillary. I know you're very disappointed you didn't win, but you're a criminal. Equal justice would mean you should go to jail.
Do we have a two-tier justice system in America?
Yeah, we have one for Hillary and all those Democrats. Bill Clinton.
He's just
That guy's under investigation, by the way.
How true is this? Who's under investigation?
That was
Giuliani is under investigation.
Okay, I shouldn't have said that. Giuliani's got a little bit of a problem, and he's lawyered up. He's got a defense lawyer. We're going to go over that.
Okay,
It has to do with this Lev Parnas thing, and it has to do with something else he might have done. I don't think he is in any trouble because he knows the law too well. I think he'll be fine, but they're looking at him.
I'm excited to stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
On Giuliani.
Yeah.
But okay, so is there any merit to that? He says that Hillary should have gone to jail.
No, I mean, look, they investigated this, and Comey said, look, she wasn't perfect, but she really didn't violate any laws. This is this is the way that these reports are supposed to come out. That's the same thing that happened with Mueller. Mueller looked at this, and the findings were there wasn't enough evidence to charge this in Volume 1. In Volume 2, the obstruction was he left that open-ended, but the truth is, that theory of the obstruction case was problematic, and he really didn't do anything there either. There's been plenty of discussions on that. So these reports are basically coming out the way they're supposed to come out. But you'll notice that each political side, each party, they're not accepting that. And we're one step away from politicizing this to where then, if Rudy Giuliani was in charge, he probably would have indicted Hillary and we'd have this mess when really it shouldn't have been done. Let's listen to Rob Reiner here. Play clip number 9.
If we had hearings in Congress that was on television, the public would start to understand what's actually in the Mueller report, which is the biggest pile of criminality that has ever been put together against any president in our history. So that's what we're trying to do, get people to understand what's actually in the report so that people will then say, well, I don't understand how we're not, indicting or holding this president accountable through impeachment. Because if anybody sat down and actually read what was in that report, you would see criminality coming out of your ears. It's when he says he's been for 2 years has been saying the words no collusion and no obstruction and complete exoneration. That is so far from the truth. There is piles of evidence of collusion in the first volume of the report.
Wait, is this even true? Hold on. I thought that Mueller said himself that there is not enough evidence to convict anybody of a crime. There's not enough evidence of wrongdoing. So, I mean, this is...
I don't even know how to answer your question. As a professor, if you were a student asking me, I wouldn't even know where to begin. Because you have this interesting phenomenon in American politics where there's a parallel universe. And there is a space in, a parallel universe where people walk on this planet and they believe the things about reality that they most like. And both sides do this. If you go and you say, did Hillary break the law? Did Comey give Hillary a break? And you walk over to the people in Planet Fox, they're going to give you, oh, Hillary was a big lawbreaker. And if you go over to the other side and you say, hey, what was in that Mueller report? The guy says, oh, the big lawbreaker. He broke all kinds of laws.
Is it so? Did Hillary break the law, or was she just towing the line? I mean, was there a rule against this?
In all of these cases, these people are what's called players. And the reason why they're called players is that they have lawyers, they're powerful, they know where the line is before they act. We just did a whole show here on what wasn't bribery. It's not bribery, what Trump did. It wasn't, there's no such crime as collusion. It's supposed to be federal conspiracy, and he did not, and the Mueller found that there was not enough evidence even to charge that, which means no probable cause. And so these findings are in there, and the broad point is this, and we need to close with this. There are 2 points. We need to stop weaponizing the criminal law, and we need to stop using these scare words. Let's hear 2 very short clips from Dershowitz, clip 31 and then 32. We'll play them back to back.
I want to see disarmament. I want to see both sides lay down the weaponization of criminal justice. I want to see stop using the criminal law against political enemies on both sides. And I think Democrats and Republicans are equally guilty here. We need disarmament. But let's use the criminal law only when there's just clear, unequivocal violation of existing statutes. Let's not use metaphors like collusion or the way in which obstruction of justice has been thrown around.
Definitely. I mean, I don't want to say that I agree or disagree with anything. I'm not here to defend Trump. I'm not here to defend Hillary even. But I was listening to one of our episodes just this morning where, you played a clip. I forget from which politician, but he basically goes, we need to get back to trying to create policies instead of just throwing around allegations in lawsuits against standing officials.
Yeah.
It's distracting from getting anything done.
Well, I mean, then think about this. You know, the president tweets, and what do they say? You're a criminal. It's witness tampering. That just happened. You know, the tweet now is witness tampering. You know, you espouse a certain public policy where you think a file should be audited. That's bribery. You know, you're bribery. And then, you know, you have this idea you're colluding. What does it even mean to collude? You know, there's not any, just because I have friends or what, you know, Tulsi Gabbard was running for president, and she has a public policy posture that's kind of friendly toward Russia. You know, there's these two views about how the United States should, whether we should have a reset. Some people want to keep the pressure on Russia. The other people want to kind of do things a little differently. Do you know Hillary Clinton recently called her an agent, a Russian agent? I mean, this is the kind of thing that goes on now. You know, if you have views that I don't like, then all of a sudden we're not just going to attack your character. We're going to start saying, well, you know, you're south of the line somewhere.
You're going to accuse them of being a communist or a fascist.
Well, that was the old thing. You know, you'd say that someone was a communist. I think we got used to that. Now what we're doing is you're going to be some sort of lawbreaker. You know, they're going to accuse you of breaking the law.
It's just a smear campaign. They're using the court system to smear somebody's name.
I think it's a bad trend. We don't want to become a banana republic where the winners prosecute the losers, where we prosecute our political enemies. It's definitely a bad thing, and we need to maybe stop that.
Yeah. Very well said. Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Until next time, catch us online all over the place. And you see our YouTube episodes coming out shortly.
All right. Thank you, Adam.
Your only source for truly balanced politics. Broadcast from Wright State University, this is Good Politics with Dr. Sean Wilson and Adam Whiteman.